In a world hungry for change, nonprofit impact matters more than ever. Yet, you're asked to do more with less. What if you could do more with more? That's the promise of Bloomerang, the giving platform built for purpose. Fundraising, CRM, and volunteer insights are integrated to reveal opportunity and generosity so you can make more connections with more funds raised for more impact. Now, that's more like it. Learn how you can do more with more at bloomerang.com. Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. We have a very special guest. I've been looking forward to this conversation, Mary, for a couple of coaching calls now, where I'm like, we've got to get you on the podcast. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Mary Morosky. She's the founder and executive director of the Children's Legacy Partnership Foundation. Now, I'm going to let her tell you about the incredible work she's doing with that organization, how you got involved. First, let's start with a round of intros, and then we'll get into your biggest fundraising wins. I'm so excited to share. So welcome.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be on this podcast. And I've listened to you for a couple of years now, and you've made a big difference. So I'm very honored to be asked.
So tell us about the work that you do with your organization. I'm also curious myself how you first got involved with it.
Sure. So I traveled to Uganda 16 years ago with a colleague. I had always wanted to go to Africa. She was volunteering for an organization. The opportunity came up and I said, I'm in, I'll go. I was still teaching full time at the time. And I said, at every turn there were sites that were unbelievable as far as poverty and schools in disrepair, grandmothers raising, their grandchildren because their daughters had died in childbirth. But equally unbelievable was the spirit, the ingenuity, the resilience of the Ugandan people, especially the women. They just welcomed me in. So I knew after that first trip, I would have to go back. And so I continued volunteering. And then, as I was teaching in my own classes, I was seeing my middle school students who were struggling with families with substance addiction and poverty. And so I was having that feeling that I needed to do something else. I wanted to go beyond the scope of the work that original foundation was doing. And so 9 years ago, I started the Children's Legacy Partnership Foundation as I was teaching full time. I retired from teaching 4 years ago. And now these last 3 years, I've really thrown myself into it full time.
That's incredible. I love it. From middle school teacher to nonprofit founder. That's so cool. I'm sure you have some middle school stories.
Oh, I do. I always say I want to wear a t-shirt. You can't scare me. I teach middle school. I survived middle school.
That's right. I don't know that I've met a person yet in my life that is like middle school. Now that was the best time of my life. Like my niece and nephews all agree. They're 18 and in their 20s. And they all agree. They're like, middle school just sucks. It's just hard. And so there is a certain love that I have for all of the teachers who lean in and say, I got this group. It's awkward. It's hormonal. I've got this group. And it's, I'm sure it's a very specific set of skills and patience and love. And so I'm sure that has transferred to the work that you do here.
Yes, for sure.
So I'd like to hear what fundraising looked like before joining my program, the Sprint Method. Now, I know you were in Easy Email, so you sort of got a taste of what we do. And then at some point, you decided to join the Sprint Method. And where were you? What were you trying and where? Tell us about that fundraising experience.
Okay. So, when I was at the beginning of the foundation, I was doing what I could with what came in. I was working full time. I had a lot of demand. So I said, what? And I'd seen other organizations get locked into having such reliance on them and that the aid that then they couldn't match that. And so I said, I never wanted to do harm. I didn't want to come in and give people hope and then pull it out from under them. I think that's one of the worst things, that you can do. So we kind of raised money. I was so naive thinking if I build it, they will come, So it was really friends and family were giving, a bulk of the time. Then when I threw myself in full time. I'm like, look, we're at that turning point. I either have to give it everything or we need to close. And then after the pandemic, we lost a lot of ground in Uganda in the pandemic. But once everything opened again, I retired. Then we were like, okay, full steam ahead. So what I was doing was the same thing, asking people for funding. I was able to reach out a little bit, but it was really still tapping that same group of people. So I had heard Ria Wong. I had heard you on Ria Wong's podcast. And I want to tell people the journey because I think, for small organizations, they will see themselves here.
Yeah.
And so you were on her podcast and you really resonated with me. And I started listening to your podcast. And, and probably other people have done this. You start lurking and you're like, okay, what can I glean?
Sure.
What is the free stuff? I can't invest because we don't have the money. And then I knew that email was really important. I had seen other people think that their social media channels was the way to go, and then have those closed down, or whatever happens, or they get hacked. So I knew that we would own our email list, and that was where I needed to build. So then I started putting together, like the monthly email where it was long and it had boxes, the small font, trying to throw everything in there. And that just didn't feel right. And then somewhere along the way, I heard you, offer the easy emails. And that was kind of that course was a real turning point for us, because it gave me the permission to yes, you can email every week. Keep it short, keep it personal, have those stories that resonate. And that was the first game changer for us, really. So I got to know you, I saw the platform, and then, I really created a system. So since October of 2023, I think it was, I've sent no less than one email every week. And I'm really proud that we've done that.
That makes me want to cry. That's happy tears. That's incredible.
Yeah. And there's sometimes they're like, oh, it's Wednesday. I try to get ahead of it. Sometimes it's a Wednesday. You're like, oh. And then, now I have that bank of emails. So there are times when, new donors, I'll just repurpose something, say, hey, here's the story about our name, and I'm going to reuse that. I don't do it a whole lot, but I need to. The other thing that I did was really maximize that weekly email content. So it's the weekly email content, but then it's also repurposed as the blog post on our website the following week. And, I use some snippets for social, and then I post it as an article on LinkedIn.
So good.
And then as a post on LinkedIn. I need to get a little better.
We're syndicating. Yes. This is so good. It's we don't have to start every platform from scratch. It's just use this pillar piece of content, boom, syndicate it out somewhere.
Yes. And then the other thing, and this is, since I've joined the sprint method, is that maybe I just needed that permission or that kick in the pants. Because I will tell listeners, Christina is the kick in the pants that you need when you are feeling like you don't want to do it or you're stuck, whether it's the podcast, the program. So, that was the permission that you gave was there are times when you're doing a campaign that you can email more often. That was really tough for me because I'm so protective of our donors, since, everybody on that list almost are people that I know, people that have given. And so, I always wanted to be protective of that. But I will tell you, it has worked. People want you to succeed. They're behind you. So we did, 2 campaigns, and I emailed, within 2 weeks. I think I emailed 5 times that first time. But then this last one, end of the year campaign, I hit it hard. Yeah. And it worked. It really did. And then
I love hearing that.
Yeah. And then my next journey was I will say, that again, I invested in that myself, not even money from the foundation for easy emails. And, but then again, I was like, okay, I took that as far as I could. And I was, a lurker. I was on your calls, the free calls, and was like, oh, I remember one time you said, you were doing some coaching, some tough coaching, and you said, what would you do if you were told that your foundation would close tomorrow if you couldn't come up with whatever, $10,000. And I was like, I would ask anybody I could, like, you wouldn't let the doors close. That's always resonated with me.
You were so brave to get coached. And I thought it was you, Mary. So I'm glad that I was like, I think that was Mary I coached that day. So for the listeners, this was some free coaching I did. I don't know. And so we had a group on, but you raised your hand. You're like, I'll come on, I'll get coached. And I gave you this thought experiment, which is you will lose your 501c3. You'll lose your nonprofit status if you don't raise 10K this week or this month or something like that. I'll kind of, depending on where the organization is, I'll change the number to I'm adding friction, right? And I said to you, what would you do? Like, what would you do in that scenario? And you unlocked, like, I remember this. You unlocked, you go, well, I'd ask everyone. Like that, what you were saying is, Christina, that's not an option. We are never like these girls, I'm taking care of them. We are growing. This is happening. And I was like, well, where is that unlock today? Like, why do we have to put everything on the line for you to reach that level of courage? And a lot of times it's, well, I need the strategy, but it's also too, like, I need the support. It's really hard to do it alone. I need the kick in the pants coach, And so I remember that coaching call and I was like, I think that was Mary. So yeah. So like, I don't think it was for another year, maybe something like that you ended up joining Sprint.
Right. That investment at that time was like, it just wasn't something we could do. And, we had other things that we had invested in. But then the Sprint method came and boy, that just clicked. And the reason it clicked was because those were other participants like me. I wear all the hats right now. I'm getting better. This year's going to be a shift. But I'm the founder, the director, the board president, doing the marketing, doing pretty much all of it. And the other people in the club were mostly in that realm. And I felt like you really understood that. There are other things out there that are hard for me to relate to because people are talking about their problems with, millions of dollars or
their major gifts officer.
Board. Yes.
Yeah. And you're like,
big
we don't even have a development person. Right. So a lot of our sprinters are solo led or part-time, have a small team. We also have a really great several organizations that serve Africa and Uganda specifically, which is so amazing. I see y'all in the chat, like connecting, cheering each other on, really understanding that. It is different. It is a different strategy. It is a different level of coaching to take the organization that's doing $5 million a year, has a marketing team, a communications team, a development team, and the organization that is like, well, for this hour, I'm going to be admin. Then I'll be ops. Then I'll be programs. And I guess I got to fundraise at some point, but I'm being pulled in all of these different directions.
Yes. And I had gotten to the point where I felt like I was so, doing everything. I felt like I was doing an okay job, but I'd taken the foundation as far as I could go. I got to that point where it was a door and I was like, I need some way to unlock this door. Like, I don't know what to do next. And so that's what the Sprint method did, for us. And I would say rousing success, like it has just been phenomenal. So do you want me to talk about our campaigns and how we jumped in?
Yeah, I want to share that I remember when you first joined and you were running multiple fundraisers at once. Do you remember this? Like they were sort of, and I think that this is really common where you're trying to appeal to the market. So you're trying to go, what do donors want? Do they want this over here? Maybe they want this over here. I'll do a pop-up fundraiser over here. And so it versus drilling in to one Sprint campaign, which is what we had you do with one strong story. So you had the Her Future Starts Now campaign. So walk us through one of your sprints or year end. Yeah.
Right. So our first sprint, when I had first joined, and I joined, I think around the end of August. So I wasn't ready to open up our end of the year campaign. I was trying to be careful, like not to overwhelm donors. We had 15 monthly donors, again, mostly friends and family. I think there was 2 people on there that I don't know. So I thought this will be the first sprint is I'm going to try, 2 weeks to increase our monthly donors. And really it was just within that email list that I had. And I did put some out on social, but it was mostly like asking those, because I have a really warm list. You know, I only have 200 people, but we have over 55% open rate, which I think with industry standards is pretty good.
That's like double.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and it was my first attempt using, doing more than one email. We hadn't started with Give Butter yet, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And so we had 3 new donors that joined up monthly. Now that doesn't sound like a lot right now, but percentage wise, that's pretty good. And over the lifetime of that donor, we took 2 people who had only given a maximum of $100 a year to $300 a year. They're giving $25 a month. And then we had a new board member who joined as a new donor. You know, so to me, that was a win. You know,
It's
it got
huge.
my feet wet doing a sprint. So that was, and that gave me confidence then to move into our end of the year fundraising. So the things that we kept the same were our outreach letter, but with the sprint method, I was able to improve the wording, put a QR code on it. So we did have a better response rate. But we started our campaign, and you know, this was a real stretch for us to put Christina knows. I will tell you, prior to the sprint method, prior to doing this peer-to-peer fundraising, our end of the year campaign, and this was in the end of 2024, was maybe $3,000. So it was low. And again, we were tapping that same group over and over again. So we set our goal at $12,000. And the reason that I did $12,000 was because that's what would fund our girls' vocational center in Uganda for the year. And I remember telling you in the group, like, I need to be able to sleep at night knowing that these girls have a place to go to be safe for, you know, the next year. So for 30 girls. Narrowing the focus on a fundraising campaign has also been a game changer. People are not out there like, well, I'll just give to this or that. When you can be super clear and narrow on your focus, 100% difference. So we had 8 peer fundraisers, again, friends and family, but most of those were our monthly donors. And our monthly donors each one gave over and above what they do for the year. So that's another myth, that if they give monthly, they're not going to give more.
Yes. Monthly donors are your evangelists. They're your super fans. And yes, we're scared. We're like, well, crap, they already give monthly. I don't want to ask them to give to this campaign. They want to. They want this. I'm having goosebumps when you're like, I get to now sleep at night. I know these girls have this for a full year. They want that too. Your donors want that. They also were like, we don't want this, you know, break in service or break in programming, or, you know, we want to make sure these girls are taken care of. So I think so keep going.
Yes. So we hit our goal, $12,000, and it took a while. It was longer than probably a traditional sprint. And I learned many, many lessons. I got a lot of good stuff in place for when we do this again, gained a lot of knowledge. But I was persistent. I gave, you know, every week I had a playlist for our donors, the rah-rah and cheering, and it ebbed and flowed. So, you know, there was a spike for Giving Tuesday. Things went down, another little spike before Christmas. But surprisingly, and Christina kept saying this, people will give up until 11:59 on, you know,
December 31st.
December 31st.
And it happened. Yeah, I just want to honor a couple things. You said it was longer than a normal sprint, and year-end will be. Your year-end campaign will be longer than your April sprint campaign, traditionally speaking. The other thing is, when a campaign stretches out that long and it has the bigger goal than you've ever had, the desire to give up is big. The desire to say, this isn't working, we're too far away from our goal, we're never going to hit it. Like, to really stay with like 12K, we're doing the 12K, it's happening by December 31st. Like, that's where I really, like, I saw you change too in the past few months in running this campaign. And I really just want to say, like, kudos to you, because you stuck with it. And so many other people, they quietly give up. Like, technically the fundraiser is still live. You know, they're throwing a few things out on social, but like, they don't believe they're going to hit their goal. and they quietly give up, which means that they then stop asking, they stop showing up so loud, the energy is gone, and you stuck with it. And then, your team members also saw that too, right? And so like that energy is a huge part of your success.
Yes. When I went over it with our board at our last meeting at the end, the board member who actually raised the most money, and he's got a great network of people, he goes, you were persistent. I said, well, thank you. Because, there were times you're just like, oh, nobody's listening. Like, I'm not going to make it. And, but I'll say that's the difference in coaching. I heard somebody say the other day, like, you hire a therapist to talk about your past,
100%.
but you hire a coach to take you into the future.
Yes.
And so that coaching makes all the difference, because a coach is not there to be your best friend or your mother, or to say, that's okay, take it easy. And I think that coaching is like, so when I said, well, I don't know what I forget what part of the campaign. And you said, well, what are your board members doing? And so I commiserated that, they weren't, and you said, you need to call them. You need to get on the phone.
That's right. The hard conversations.
Yes,
I remember that. Let's go. We're going to hold them accountable. They are board members. It is year end. It is everyone's Super Bowl season. Let's go. And you're totally right about therapy versus coaching. So therapy is like where we generally unpack our past, or sometimes our present, but definitely our past. I call it like rear view. Totally need to do that stuff. Lots to do there. Very good. I think of coaching as one of those things that we have from age 0, if we're lucky, to about age 18. Because I think teachers, the great teachers, and I'm sure you've seen this, even athletic coaches or art teachers, like they are coaches. And something happens when we become adults that we don't really have that person in our life. In general, you have to go seek it out. Sometimes you have a mentor. But I think about like my kid. So my second child, when she took her first steps, she took them very early. So what am I? I'm on the other side of the room and I'm like, come here, come here, come here, come here. That's what your coach is doing. We are holding that goal for you. And we're like, we got you. You can do it. When you fall, I got you. You can pick yourself back up. We're talking you through it. Like at no point are we like, well, I guess she's just not going to hit that milestone, right? It's like, I guess she's not going to hit that goal. It's like, nope. That's what a coach does. It's very much centered on future focused and the goal that you're presenting to me. And so the goal you're presenting to me, I'm like, we're getting there. It's happening. And when the fails happen, when the curveballs happen, because they do, because it's life, it's like, then we can go in and we can ideate and we can figure out, okay, well, what do we want to do here? What are we doing next instead? And part of that for you was like, okay, we're going to talk to the board. Where's the board here? Yeah. So that was like a big conversation, a big shift for you.
Yeah. And absolutely. And it's the person, you hire a coach that has experience. Same thing. Like if you're going to hire a sports coach, you're not going to hire somebody that's never, played football before.
Yes.
And it's also, I think for us that wear all the hats, especially, we're so in it day to day. And so to help with that person who's objective, and even with the other people in the club, like they can take in the information, and sometimes easier, for somebody else to see what's going on, point that out and say, okay, now try this for the next steps. It's been a game changer for us, an absolute game changer. We had our first 5-figure revenue month in December, and same thing for January. Now, some of that's carryover.
100%.
From people that are like, oh, I didn't get my donation in on time. And we had that last year too. That momentum carried. But that's huge for us.
You're like, no problem. You can give in January. It is not a problem. Come on. Yeah.
I literally had a donor in Korea who's an expat living over there. And she's messaging me on New Year's Eve. She's like, I forgot there's a time difference. I need to get this donation to you before. So we were back and forth trying to figure that out. But yeah. And you had the experience. So you were able to say, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. And that's, those pieces fell into place.
Oh, I love that. So many big changes in you as a fundraiser. So tell us about how you've changed now, having run a couple of sprints, and how you think about fundraising in your organization now. If your fundraising plan right now looks like, we should probably do another event, then we need to talk, because most nonprofits aren't underfunded because people don't care. They're running campaigns that never built enough momentum. So I'm teaching a free class called 10K in 10 days, the campaign plan you can run from your laptop. I'm going to show you how to run a focused sprint campaign that can bring in $10,000 or more without events, grants, or a big team. If you've been piecing things together and hoping it works, this is your next step. Go save your seat at splendidcourses.com/10K.
Yes, so I learned a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of lessons starting. I knew peer fundraising was somewhere we wanted to go to grow. I couldn't do any more myself. But again, I was still naive back in October, thinking like, if I build it, if I put it, if I build it in GiveButter, if I share the links with people and ask them, surely, people will come, they'll put it out on their network. Well, that's not, what's happening these days. Like Facebook numbers are, whatever, the algorithms are down. Even if you have a lot of, yes, even if you have a lot of friends. So that was a misconception that I had.
Yeah.
So the growth that I've experienced and what I'll do next time is meeting with those peer-to-peer ambassadors, like one-on-one, face on the phone, like these are the steps, and they need to get out there personally and hit their network. Like they need to talk to their friends in person, call them, text them. I think gone are the days when you could put the link out there when, several years ago when that was new. And then people were like, sure, I'll give $10, $25. That's what I found. That is not the case anymore.
That I would say the social media landscape has changed, and you can't replace just the power of one-to-one outreach. And so what we can do for you, so it's not all on Mary to do one-to-one outreach, is boom, we're creating a team, right? We're creating a sprint team. And so that's how we help replicate that. And then one of the things I want to anchor in on is, you mentioned you were asking mainly just a small group of friends and family. And for anyone who has started a nonprofit, who is a small business owner, that's how it starts. And it does feel like, is this ever going to end where I stop texting my aunt and my neighbor and where are the people? But I want to honor that's how you start. And so you started by that. And then the next brick is, okay, going outside of that bubble, friends of friends, right? Community members. And you're doing that so beautifully. And not only did you raise more money in this last campaign, you've brought in new donors. Now you have the system set up with the weekly email, so they're getting nurtured. Because what we'll see is there are a lot of people who don't necessarily have that knowledge, right? They're not problem aware of what your organization does. And so I'm so excited for you to bring in new people in your pipeline that way. And also honor that the first step is networking. It's like that friends and family. I want to talk about, though, you're a great networker. You're out there. You're talking about,
and it's not easy for me. Like it doesn't come naturally, but yeah, I think I might have said this to the group. Like I've joined groups, since, so I just get out there.
You do. If your desire is to not rely solely on friends and family for organization to grow, which I would say 99 out of 100 are yes, that's my desire. You're going to have to be in other rooms. You're going to have to do strategic networking. And you're excellent at putting yourself in other rooms. So I want to just give you kudos for that. And also you're it doesn't necessarily come naturally, but this is the part of our organization's growth. And then it gets easier. And I know you're going to start to see it this year is you're out in other rooms, you're talking, you're networking. Meanwhile, you've got these great sprints coming up, right? So you'll be able to bridge the gap to fundraising, because it's not just will you donate to our organization for any reason whatsoever? You're going to have some anchor stories, some anchor sprints to draw new people in. So I'm really excited about that for you too.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So I started taking a Tai Chi class this year, which is something I'd wanted to do. That really gets me out of my comfort zone.
100%.
While we were waiting for class the other day, I was talking to a woman and, I forget what I said, but it came up, that I run a foundation. She goes, oh my gosh, I'd love to hear more about that. She goes, I, traveled to Africa once and, I really loved it. So let me know more. So it's those kind of conversations. So that's been a big growth for me too, is, you have to, the relationships are so important. You can't just come straight on asking people, you need to build that trust. And that's what I think that weekly email does too. It really builds the trust. People get to know you. They see you're consistent. And when you're working in Africa, that's really hard sometimes. Sometimes I wish I wish we just worked, here, because it's easier for people to connect to people's experience.
Yeah, you can't say, pop over, I'll give you a tour of our facility. There's no that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you want to keep that connection. One of the things that I'm really proud that we do is, we provide photos and videos of where people's donations are going and the stories so people can make those connections. And I think our team in Uganda is fabulous. They do a great job with that. And we're really proud of that. The donors get to see where their money is going, the impact it has.
I love it. 100%. That's going to keep your retention high. So you touched on it earlier. I do want to talk about your donation tool, because I don't remember what you were using before, but you did change what you were using to run your sprint campaigns, right? You switched for something else, and then you started creating them on GiveButter. Is that what happened?
Yes. So we've used DonorBox, the free version, for several years. And I was resistive when I first saw it. So I was like, changing, what's that going to mean? But again, you want to listen to your coach. Just like I said, my mantra for this year is not to say that won't work for us, because I want to be open to be like, if you're suggesting, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. So, so you had said, look at Good Butter. And then in the meantime, I was going to a music event, and it was a nonprofit that was holding it, and they used GiveButter. And I'm like, okay, there's something's aligning there. And when I went to the music event, I was asking the promoter, I said, oh, you use GiveButter. And so she talked about, she said, it's worked really well for us. So, and I have to say, again, right now we're using the free version. At some point, I'm pretty sure we're going to go into, the other features of the paid version down the road. But I've been very impressed with it. It's been easy enough for me without the tech background. I mean, I'm fairly savvy, but to figure it out. And that, the thermometer, the layout of it, I feel like
it does a lot of heavy lifting. Yeah.
Yes. And the other thing, again, another game changer for this last, our end of the year campaign was it allows you to take donations from so many different platforms. The other tool we were using, they weren't at that point. They may be now, but it was so easy for me to set it up through GiveButter. Again, step by step. We had people giving through donor advised funds, ACH, PayPal,
Venmo.
It was really opened it up for people.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons why I have said you don't have to, but our most successful sprints are on GiveButter because it's just doing a lot of heavy lifting. You've got the supporter wall. It's easy to use. I've been in so many tech tools where I'm like, I log in, I'm like, get me out of here. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I don't want to learn. This looks clunky. And so I knew the back end was good. I knew the user experience for the donors were good. And it just had it had a lot of what we need. And when we are running peer fundraisers in particular, you need your tool to not give that overwhelm to the people you're asking to be your peer fundraisers, because it needs to be easy peasy. And so it checked a lot of boxes. So I was really happy that you liked it as well. And it's been such a great tool for you. That's really interesting that you got to try it too for the concert. So you were on the other side, right? And and just being able to have PayPal, have Venmo, have all of these other options. I mean, this is no longer a nice to have in fundraising. It really is a non-negotiable. It's how easy can I check out? Even in my own business, I've been looking at, we did some updates to our checkout where I was like, okay, I need to make sure that it's Apple Pay, Google, we have all of these things because I want somebody to also pass the litmus test. Can they run a transaction from the couch, right? Without getting up and grabbing their credit card? And that's what we need. That's definitely what we need for the future.
I'm seeing more people ask me about accepting donor advised funds.
Yes. I think DAFs are huge this year.
Yeah. So we had a few of those this year.
Amazing.
And this year, for the first time, we had 5 individuals give, maybe more than that, but at least 5 gave over $1,000. That's huge for us.
You have a major donor pipeline. And so that's what I love about sprints is it's so much data comes from it. So you got data on your recurring donors, right? You got data on all of the people outside of your network that are new people for you to really kind of roll out the red carpet for and start to connect with. You got data on the people who are leaning in and like, hi, I have capacity to give more. And also I have alignment with your cause. So it gave you new leads for your pipeline. So I think that's so exciting. As you look into what's next for your organization, walk us through your vision this year. I want to know what's next.
So our vision this year is, first of all, again, I would say, as I was so new doing this, you think you're going to be able to help everybody with everything. So we've really narrowed our focus so that we are much more clear to donors on our 3 specific, areas, girls and women's economic empowerment, food security, and youth leadership and global citizenship. So we're really looking at those buckets and those programs. So we right now, so I joined Rotary. That was one of the things that I did. First of all, because they resonated with me a couple years ago. And but now they are helping us work on a global grant, which will be pretty big this year. So it's a little scary, again, getting me out of my comfort zone. But our next logical move is which you had talked about on a podcast a couple times ago, were these small
micro
gatherings.
Events.
Yes, micro events where you get groups together.
Yes.
So and just talk. You're not asking for a donation. So I see that as the next logical place for
100%.
us. And so I have 2 people in mind. One had already talked to me the end of last year about possibly doing it, for a group of friends. Either at their home or at the clubhouse in the community where they live. So, that at the end of this month, which is coming quick, I know, but that's going to be our next logical move. And then I will plan out a couple more sprints that are based on some outreach that we're doing. If I go over to Uganda, that'll be a logical one where we, gather for programs. And, oh, yes. And I like to do at least 2 sprints throughout this year for monthly donors. That's another
100%.
area that I really, really want to increase because that makes such a difference for us.
That monthly can plan on it. Recurring revenue is so helpful for organizations scaling up. Yeah.
And then the other thing, our other area of focus, again, is getting, growing that email list, growing those contacts. And so you and I have spoken on that.
Yeah. And it's just like, I love sprints for this too, is because you're getting new donors this way, which is naturally growing your email list. It's like, it's all serving the bigger picture. So I'm so excited to support you this year on that. As we wrap up today, I'm curious, what would you say for somebody who's listening, who's juggling too many fundraisers, not hitting their goals? What would you tell them?
I would say get coaching. Like, absolutely. I feel like, I can navigate information. I know as a teacher, I know how I took in information. Give me a book, I'll read it and figure it out. And sometimes you know what to do, but you just need that person to give you that push or that. Like I needed that permission. I needed that permission to send weekly emails. I needed that permission to send, more emails when it was a campaign. I just couldn't push myself. And I talk to other people that run foundations all the time. And I said that, sending those emails has just been the game changer for us, number one. But then like I said, I took it as far as I could.
When you have like the email foundation and then we layer on the sprint campaign, that's when we see the conversions happen.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's been huge. And again, to have other people in the group, and I think there are 4 other people in our group that, have foundations in Africa.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can commiserate and say like,
Yes.
oh, yeah.
It's different being an international organization. It is different. And so, yeah, to have somebody who's like, yeah, I get it. Totally. And I think we have such an affirming, positive group in there. It's just, yeah.
It is.
So
and when
good.
you see like, that level of poverty that we deal with every day, like that extreme poverty
Yeah.
where kids are, eating maybe one meal every other day, we can kind of talk about like, how that lays on your heart and how you have to keep going, but also how you take care of yourself so that you can keep going.
So that you can.
That's important to find that balance.
Yeah. For your nervous system. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. My other piece of advice, which I wish I had done at the beginning, but you learn, is you start an organization and you want to get up and running. Again, you think if you want to do it, like all your friends and family are going to be so excited, and so I asked friends and family to be board members because you just want to get going. So any advice I would have is like slow down. First of all, ask yourself, if you haven't started a foundation and you want to, like, do I need to start a foundation, or can this need be met by me helping another organization? But if you start one, take the time, slow down to build the board that you need to grow. So now we're very careful. I'm so proud of this, that we have an application process. We're asking the right people. We just got another application from somebody who's going to make a big difference for us. She's a lot of tech skills. She's young. She has energy. But we're really clear on the application that just because you say you want to do it doesn't mean you're going to be on the board. We consider it an application.
That's right.
Go through the application, check references.
Yes.
And so that, and then give term limits.
Yes. Yeah.
And just make it really clear, like if you're on the board, we're a working board, these are the expectations.
It's very, very common for newer organizations to ask their friend, their spouse, to be their board members. And as you say, that's not the best board member. So it's common to be in the spot you were at and then go, we're gonna revamp this, right? Having the application, having a board agreement, and then holding people accountable. Because sometimes people will go, I have the application, I have the board agreement. They're still not. Okay, now it's hard conversation time, which is then like, okay, come get coached. Come get coached and we'll take care of you.
Yes. So we also want to build out our volunteers.
Yes.
But again, and it's different for us because not everybody can go to Uganda. We don't need people to go to Uganda, but we need people to help here. But coming up with like a job description, like this is what we need. This is how many hours it might take. And then if you find you've started it, but then you can't like continue, just let us know. So being clear with that communication. But again, so that, I can start to give out some of the jobs to other people to make the foundation sustainable.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. We ask everybody on the podcast to share with us one thought they like to think on purpose. So this could be a mantra, a guiding phrase, a quote that just helps you move forward and keep going. Would you share yours with us?
Absolutely. So every single morning for the last, I think, 3 years, I have just started like with a calm and said to myself, I said it out loud, I expand in abundant success and love, and I inspire others to do the same and help people to give through me to the children. And so I take that off of, just pulling in is like, what can I do? And I probably got that phrase from someone, but that has just recentered me every day. I think it can be easy to get into that thing like, oh, that person, that foundation got $1 million and they don't need it as much. Or so I've tried to come at it with a real mindset shift of abundance. There's enough for everybody. Because if you come at it like, why isn't our foundation getting this money? You're going to turn people off. People are going to feel that and sense it. So, just I expand in abundant success and love, today and every single day and inspire others to do the same has really like set me up for success every day, I think.
Oh, that's so good. You're reminding me, I don't know what coach I had that said it, but they said, when you're in that like comparison mode, when you're in that like, oh, there's not enough and that whole thing, It's like bad cologne, right? It's like body odor, right? It's like a bad cologne. And reciprocally, I think that when you're in this abundance space, when you believe there is enough, there is plenty. People want to help my organization who also donate to another organization. We want both. I'm here to, I talked to my son last night. Next to me, I have all of my clients inside the Sprint and in the club on the wall. And I was letting him, he was asking me about one of them, and he was like, don't you want to I was like, I want to donate to all of them, right? And so like we do, right? We can help here, we can donate there. And it's like, and so we all, if not me, it's somebody else who wants to donate. Like there's so much abundance in the world. And I think that draws people in the opposite way that the bad cologne does, right? I think it's like magnetizing, right? And so that's what you're doing. You're drawing people in every single day.
Thank you. And you've made, and I hate to gush on you because I don't want to embarrass you, but like you have just like resonated with me. I think that, and I think you do with other people that have a similar, foundation and background, and has just been a game changer. You're accessible. The course has the resources in there. Sorry. The other thing I didn't say too is when that Sprint method, that AI assistant. Oh my gosh. Another She's game great. Changer.
We love
another game changer. We're spending a lot of time together these days. Helped with the Sprint method, with our website updates. Like I can't say enough good. And low tech skills, and it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. Yeah.
Oh, I received that. Thank you for saying that. Where can everyone connect with you? Tell us social, website, or LinkedIn. Where do you like to hang out?
Sure. We are, our website is ourclp.org, OURCLP.org. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and I post on LinkedIn also.
Yes.
People can reach me at mary@ourclp.org if they want to ask any questions about my experience, in the Sprint method, easy emails, but I would love to connect with people and help them, pay it forward the same help that, I've gotten.
Well, thank you for the work you're doing with these girls. It's so important. And thank you for letting me be your coach. It's been such an honor. So I'm excited for this year.
Thank you.
Hey, high achiever. I know your sights are set on ambitious, world-changing goals. In the Purpose and Profit Club group coaching program, you can get the support, motivation, and strategy to accelerate your impact. I like to say it's where the inner work meets big impact and big funding. Go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist, and you will be first to be notified when we open up doors, and you'll get special bonuses when you join our waitlist. See you inside.